And hi everybody out there, Mark Mannering here from Class Training with another You Know What, 3 tips in 3 minutes on a 3-minute Thursday, more or less. I'll get this question all the time. How do we report from multiple sheets in Excel? What is the basis of Power BI? What does it all mean? How do we work with it? And so on. Let's get into it. So whether you're using just straight Excel with pivot tables reporting from multiple sheets, or you're using Power BI, there's a couple of big, or in particular one big concept to keep in mind. For example, I've got 2 separate sheets here, as you can see on the left-hand side. I've got my patient contact details, and there's patient number, their full name and so on. That's in one particular sheet within the same file or within a separate file. On the right-hand side, I've got their respective payments, the receipt number, the payment date, and so on. Now, all I've got in that secondary file, as we call it, is the patient number. And obviously the patient number relates back to the patient number on the left and their corresponding full name and so on. So for example, what I want to do is to create a report that just shows the particular name of the patient in this case and their payment amount on the right-hand side there. At the moment, I can't do that directly because the data is in 2 separate sheets. Now, what I can do, which is a bit of a workaround, is to use a lookup formula and putting the lookup formula in this column E here to look up that particular patient number on the left and report back its corresponding full name on the right, put the raw data there and just come down all the way through. That would put the name in there, and then I can do a pivot table or a Power BI report just on that one particular sheet. That's a little bit clunky because I've got to do that every time this new data comes in, so we don't want to do that. Before we do anything with reporting from these multiple sheets, we've got to tell Excel that this particular patient number here in this file or that sheet is the same as the particular data in this secondary file. And even though they've got the same headings, as you can see there, and the same data type, and the same data does exist in both files, Excel has no idea that both of those 2 sets of data relate to the same thing. It just thinks, oh, it's just a coincidence, you've got the same heading and the same figures, the same data type. No, we have to tell Excel that that particular column there is exactly the same as that. They are related to each other, they are linked to each other, and therefore we don't need this lookup formula and we can report from there as well. Now with Excel, in using a pivot table to report those 2 sheets, the data relationship or the link between the 2 columns is shown by this dialog box here. By accessing the data tab and then relationships, we can create the link between the 2, and it shows you here that the patient number column or field in the payments table, which is on the right-hand side, is the same as the patient number column in the names table on the far left-hand side. If I click edit from here, we've got a detailed view of the particular relationship or the link between the 2 columns. So I've already created that relationship. Click OK. And then close. Now once that relationship is set up, I can create a pivot table which combines those 2 sets of data. And there's the main report on the left-hand side, again with their full name that I required, plus their total payment amount. So when using Excel pivot tables, you need to create the relationship between the 2 like-minded columns, if you like, whereas Power BI, a lot of the time, will do that for you automatically. You just need to check it and confirm it. Now here, just by the way, in this example, I've tried to do a pivot table based on those 2 separate sheets without creating the link in between the 2 relevant columns or fields. And there's the pivot table that's been created, but obviously those figures are wrong. And Excel has given me a bit of a prompt on the right-hand side that you have not set up any links or relationships between the relevant columns. And it's prompted me to do that. I can try and go create here, auto detect from here. So that is the main thing. That is the big concept or the big step we've got to do first up to create our report based on more than 2 sets of data or 2 tables or 2 sheets of data, whether it's using pivot tables or using Power BI. And once the relationship's set up, you can create all the beautiful reports you need, the dashboards and so on. Like this one I've got here, which is a report from multiple sheets after having created the relationships. And I've got my timelines here, my timeline filters and my slicer filters. And I've set this up so that as I select particular cities in this report, you can see the column chart, the combination chart there updating in the blink of an eye. And this is all done through Excel pivot tables. Power BI gives you a lot more flexibility, a lot more control over your reporting. So there you go. There's sort of 3 tips. The first tip is to think about the relationships you need, which columns need to be linked before you can proceed. Number 2, create the reports you need, or think about the reports you need. And then number 3, make sure that the data is set up in the correct way so that you can get out what you've put in. We cover all this in our pivot tables online sessions, in particular in the advanced session that we have scheduled coming up. We are working on some Power BI courseware as well, so keep an eye out for that. Contact me if you need any other information, and Mark Mannering signing off until next time. See you again. Bye.